Yes, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us from. We are live on Uganda at Crossroads here from Campfire Television. We are located in the United States of America in the state of Massachusetts. Good evening, and thank you for always watching our programs. My name is David Lubuurwa. Now, we always focus on Uganda and look into the key things that happen in the country over the week or throughout the week. And we try to, draw a close understanding or attention to how they can actually be fixed or even criticized or even understand how the government is doing stuff. But of course, like as usual, we come up with different stories based on what the government has done, what the opposition has done, what the economy is doing, and how it's performing. This week was not so different from the rest. Remember the story about locusts that invaded the country, how much money the government spent, billions of money, the soldiers who are involved, and everything. The stories were breaking almost every second. And some were actually good because, the government invested that money into fighting something that would be very dangerous in the economy. But at the same time, a lot of money was lost on useless, what somebody can say as useless things. Tonight, we're in the studio. We're actually very many today, and we're going to break down these stories. I'm joined by Haman Naviona. He's a People Power Coordinator for the Boston area, not USA, but he's just the main man or chairman for the People Power in Boston area. I'm joined by Daniel Sebugwao. He's a student from Harvard doing public policy. I'm joined by Sarah Joy Bakanasa and Richard Myombe. Guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me this afternoon here in the studio. It's it's been a very wonderful week. I'm one person who doesn't want celebrate Valentine's. Well, you may ask me, a question why I don't celebrate it, but it's one of those days. I mean, every time if I do have a girlfriend, I always do my best to make sure that she feels so happy about me. So, Haman, you're looking at me so hard and like, what is David talking about? But let me start with you actually. Did you enjoy the week? Probably there was, 14th yesterday. Did you take her out or did they take you out?
The week was good. The only thing that I enjoyed about Valentine is red. That is the only thing.
Ah, okay. So I wanted to go straight to Daniel, but let me first jump Daniel and jump Sarah. Let me go to Richard. Richard, did you take her or they for Valentine's? I mean, out?
I never was working, but this week I had I was so surprised what I saw this week. I was so sorry for the death of Comrade Biraro. Was a good man, if you know him very well, and also I was so ashamed to see the way the Republic of Uganda reacted on the locusts that had been roaming East Africa for almost a month. And the United Nations had given them $10 million way almost a month ago. So I was so shy as a Ugandan to see how the performance and how the greed of people in the Ugandan government are to sacrifice the whole country, the famine that is going to come, the animals that are going to die after that. So I had two things. The other one was Geno Biraro, who worked so hard, because all along we had been saying that, look, Museveni is the only person in Uganda that is deterring Ugandans to make investment.
All right.
If you see one of Geno Biraro's comments and what he did in creating West Uganda, Museveni had to hold that vision of Geno Biraro.
All right, sure. Let me come back to Daniel. Daniel, you've been following the issues that are going on back in Uganda, and you being a student of public policy, how was your week? First of all, before you even give me the answer, did they take you out? Did you take them out? Or did you take her out?
Well, someone took me out.
Oh, great. At least I have one person who...
and bought me fish.
Oh, great. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Only fish?
Yeah, this is something serious here. Like, yeah.
Just in Zira, it depends on the part of the fish. It
All right, guys, I want to take you off.
That must have been tilapia because that's
It could have been the head.
Nile patch is a serious deal. If
All right.
it's that, then...
So did you see anything different within a week?
Yeah, definitely. The death of Geno Biraro was a serious issue. This is a guy who was passionate about farming, because farming is a huge sector. Like, I'm not sure of the percentage, but a huge number of Ugandans depend on farming. and this guy was passionate about it. He was his campaign, when he stood for the presidential campaign, his campaign was entirely he campaigned with the purpose to bring farmers into the picture of Uganda, unlike now the current government that is focused on the military and how to stay in power. You know, we need a leadership that focuses on the social issues like Biralo did. May his soul rest in peace, and I applaud his passion and love for Uganda.
Right.
And then the other issue, the locust issue, is still confusing me. I'm adding up the math and things that have been said. I'm not sure if we really have locusts in Uganda or if people are staging up a money heist.
A money heist, like you called it, a money heist.
All right, so I want to bring in Sarah. Sarah, hey, I'm going to be direct. Did they take you out? Did you take them out? How was your Valentine's? Basically, I'm looking at Friday. How was it?
Do you think I rear a farm of they? My Valentine was amazing. I was at work working, but I got all the sweet messages on my phone. I got a phone call from whoever was supposed to call me and tell me all the sweet. But you know, Valentine's is about showing love to the people you love. I call my friends I love. I call my family members I love, and spread the love.
All right, so guys, I want to thank you. You know, Richard and Daniel, you mentioned about the death of General Biralo. He was very fundamental in the development of the economy, and you know, he fought for the peace and unity that the President Museveni is talking about lately, or even over the years, has been advocating for peace, and that's what he came in for. But what does it mean? I want to start with that. You know, it's very funny, but I'm going to start with you, Daniel.
Yeah.
What does it mean when you see the president or the presidential candidate who advocated for something and now he's gone? Do you think we have any other hopes that somebody else is going to come up with the same policy of advocating for agriculture in the country?
Yeah, definitely, because that's actually, Herman is going to talk about that. That's the reason why we are trying to do a consultation, because we don't want our plan and vision for Uganda to be narrow. We want it to be wide, and that's why we need people's opinion. And now, when you look at General Biraro's perspective on agriculture and his concept of how it should be developed and the need for government investment in this sector, it is a sector that can, instead of Uganda exporting its young people to the Middle East, it is a sector that can be invested in to make these young Ugandans stay home and make Uganda become the market basket of Africa.
All right, sure. Let me bring in Sarah. Sarah, you know, you heard about the story and you talked about it, you and I talked about it during the week. His death, what does it mean to you? He was a general, he was a very great army officer. He fought, he defended the Constitution, he stood for presidency, and he's now gone. What next?
He was, what I would say is I remember him standing and dividing our position. What I'll start from there, rest in peace. Yeah, because, but definitely what he said, he was very passionate about agriculture. And we all know agriculture is still the market basket of Uganda. If only it is a little effort and energy is put in, we can still earn more from it. You can imagine there are so many things. I sit on this side and say, where are passion fruits? I've never found fresh passion fruits in any market in this area of Boston where I stay. But we have passion fruits getting rotten in Uganda. Just imagine if we had the right, if we packaged our passion fruits and met the standards of exports needed of fresh fruits needed to come into the US, how much money would we be making? There are a lot of things. The pineapples we have on this side, basically, I keep telling people here, your pineapples don't have taste. A pineapple grown in Uganda, you can smell it from afar and know that's a ripe pineapple. So there is a lot of stuff that we grow, or even farmers have lost interest, not because they don't want to still do agriculture, but because if they properly had market. Look at the matoke we consume here. It is tasteless. You just taste it just for the sake of, when you've just come from Uganda and start tasting matoke here, totally, it's completely off. but you get used over time. And I know definitely when guys go back to Uganda, the first thing you want is like, I want to taste the real matoke. But how many Ugandans do you have in this part of the world?
All right.
Maybe you have over 100,000 Ugandans and more. Just imagine if you are exporting matoke to this part of the world. So those are the things, and a lot of money would make. And you can have it come in a day or 2 days, because a flight from Uganda is about 16 hours. That matoke can still come in and fresh and good to be consumed. So as much as we want to focus on any other things, if we had people put in more time and energy, if our government really focused on agriculture and improving it, we would be feeding many other countries in the world. We would still depend, because I've had people come from other parts of the world. I had friends one time who came from Sweden and they were in Uganda and they were testing our fruits, and the taste of our fruits is completely different from what they used to. But our leaders, they can't say that.
All right, sure. Richard, last week Campfire reported that he died of cancer, and we have heard in the recent past that Uganda actually doesn't have more than, if it does have, it doesn't have more than 2 or 3 cancer machines to help fight the problem. But at the same time, they also reported that he was one of the guys who had the most realistic manifestos during the 2016 general elections. What does that tell you when you hear such news? Of course, is gone, and do you think his manifesto is going to continue maybe into another political organizations into another political organization or something else? What does it tell you?
First of all, let me tell you, I'm so sorry for Geno Biralo. But he may rest in peace, but let me tell you people, everything that happens in this world has a reason. It's now a season of deliverance for Uganda. Agree, yes or not? And I think Honorable Kyagulanyi is our chosen liberator. Agree it or not? If God decides to take such a man who has a very good manifest and take him out of the system, it may be good, it may be bad. But let me talk about Geno Biralo first of all. We don't have enough machines, and the cancer that he had, 99% you die, because by the time it's detected, it's always too late, because the country has never transformed. But let me talk about Geno Biralo. Geno Biralo had a program of lifting Uganda out of poverty. It was a very, even before he joined the presidential candidature for in Uganda. But Geno Biralo, I was following him always and listening to what he was talking about, and then we see the difference. Geno Biralo went around the world looking for money, so that in every district of Uganda there could be something that could be started up by the Ugandans themselves. That's what differs from Biralo and Museveni. He was emphasizing on Ugandans themselves, not Indians or Chinese or foreigners. That was one thing. The second thing, he was what People Power is going to do. We are going to focus more on transforming the agriculture system to an international environment and market, so that people can ship and get money from this market. For example, Sarah was talking about passion fruit. She never knew that a passion fruit, just in the market behind us here, one passion fruit costs $2. No one can even buy one passion fruit. But in Ikasese, in the mountain, you can even get it for even I don't know how to say, to convert Ugandan shillings.
That's not about 7,000. You get a bucket.
Yes.
You get a full bucket. This
is organic from there. Yeah. But because of the environment that we are farming in, because we have AGOA. Remember, Clinton gave us an opportunity for AGOA, but we have never fully transformed ourselves to that market, so that we can bring in the fresh fruits. Look at the airport. The moment you bring in a fresh fruit just in your bag, it's confiscated because we don't meet the standards. So what People Power is going to do more is to focus on how to clean ourselves in Uganda and market ourselves, so that people can get, because what we need is taxes. What the government needs is taxes. The rest of the money is yours, so that you can enrich and empower yourself and then transform the country. Okay. The other thing I was talking about is, we are not going only to stop on agriculture. We are going to do international investment in what we call industrialization of the country by Ugandans. Empower Ugandans. Museveni doesn't want Ugandans under his political system to get rich. He wants to bring in foreigners so that become servants. Then he collects taxes from them because it gives him taxes. Then for you become servants in your own country so that he can rule you and his sons forever. That's the two difference between these two things.
I want to bring in, Hamani. Before I bring you in, let me get a quote from General Vidal during his presidential debate. He said, Museveni, for his record of service, all we see is collapse of the health sector, education and security. We cannot allow this mess to continue simply because of one man. Enough is enough. It is time Museveni resigned in peace. What does that statement tell you now that the president is still the president of the country and chances are even 2021 is coming back?
You see, it is very saddening. Loss of human life is very saddening, whether it is intentional or unintentional. I hope that the flags of the country, Uganda, were held at half-mast or will be at some point in memory of a servant of the country, a UPDF soldier. But the death of the general also shows me, it shows all of us that no one is immortal. We are all mortal, we are all human beings. And one day, we will die, let me put it literally. So, knowing that, remembering that we are all mortal beings, the question would be, what is the legacy that you've left behind? I think that is the more important question. It is saddening for the general that I have not heard since the campaign, since election time, even during the election time, I didn't hear any person who might echo his views, people who might repeat what he's saying for other people to outreach, the way it is for Honorable Kyagulanyi. I can tell you now that even if the Honorable is not present, there are many people who will be repeating the same things that he is saying, and maybe even louder than him. So my question is, what kind of legacy have you left behind? For Museveni, it will be nepotism, corruption, and sectarianism. All right? For Biraro, unfortunately, it is going to wither. We are going to remember him for a week, and we move on. We only heard about him during the campaign. So what I tell Ugandans is, don't do only what you think is good for you as an individual, but do what is good for the community as a whole. Do things that are seeds, plant seeds in the community, that your legacy is not dependent solely on you as an individual, but also on other people. Grow like an octopus, grow with legs and be able to move a legacy, especially if it is beautiful like General Biraro honored.
All right, so
the other thing I would like to say is regulation. Many of the panelists here have talked about agriculture and how we cannot get fruit and agricultural products to the international market. I think our biggest challenge in Uganda is regulation. If you think about everything that is going on, be it locusts, be it healthcare, be it agriculture, be it security itself, there is a lack of regulation which we intend to reinforce. So I think that our consultation meetings will highlight these things, like Daniel said, these things like how can we regulate this madness that we have allowed to happen for 34 years. I think that is the biggest question that we'll be asking in the consultation.
I want to bring in other guys, but let's go back onto the main issue here. You remember, everyone remembers that recently we had an issue of the locusts in the country. Now that's going to be a very huge topic today. Mm-hmm. Government has spent billions and billions of money to fight against something which is very serious. I mean, when these locusts invade any area, they leave everything clear because they are used to being in deserts. And everybody understands that. But the big question is, now the government has approved the 7 billion and the other monies to fight these problems, or the locusts. Sarah, I want to start with you. The government asks for that money. The money was approved. They send soldiers to fight the problem. That's number one. Number two, out of the soldiers they sent, They sent airplanes. They also had to buy the aerial. Oh God, I'm forgetting what the name, but I'm going to get it towards as we continue the discussion. What we realized, according to the news, they ended up burning the bushes where these locusts were. What was the problem, sir?
No, they are trying to, you know, one of the things that that is funny and it is sad, it is supposed to make you cry about this government, is they've completely lost any morals. These guys are shameless. You can imagine 20 billion and they couldn't even get us sprayers that could get up to the trees. And again, when we see, and at some point we started having them looking for the locusts because they could not locate them. Someone needs accountability for the 20 million. I'm like, you're burning a bush in areas that are dry, because these are semi-deserts. You're burning a bush in areas of Moroto. Those are semi-dry areas where even a simple fire can, you know, and the people who live in those areas live in huts. So I'm like, you're entirely you're not using your common sense, and you're going to destroy entire village with people's houses just because you're burning a bush, of which does the UPDF have the capacity to control fire if it starts? They do not, because they are not trained to do that. So as looking at these guys mambo jumbling around confused, and I'm like, why can't you just sit down? We all know someone stole the 20 billion. Someone stole the 20 billion. I heard one of the officers making a phone call to Kampala asking for the sprays that the ones they have cannot reach up the trees because the locusts are on top of the trees. I'm like, these locusts are really crazy. They are now sitting on top of the trees. But it's still the funny thing. The locusts we are busy looking for in Moroto are driving US UVs in Kampala. Someone got that money. And I'm like, 20 billion. They first approved 7 billion without even showing us the accountability of what the 7 billion has done. More money was approved. But when you get to the ground, they don't have sprays. They are burning bushes. They are claiming they don't have equipment, and they are looking for the locusts. They cannot locate them. What has Uganda gotten into? It is so shameless. Whoever, I'm telling you, these people who are serving in this government, I do not know what they are going to do when Museveni leaves power. Maybe the simple advice I would give them is they should run off. In the night when Museveni loses power, they need to run off and hide for their lives.
All right.
I saw one of the the minister who was sent on ground. He flew in on a chopper. He flew in on a chopper to Moroto. You know, very, very well dressed, very smart, and he was saying, no, our officers are not burning the bushes, but these people are. Officers are caught on. Everyone knows that the way they are trying to deal with the situation is ban what? But he said, no, maybe those officers are not in our unit. They are not part of us. And that, again, throws me back to regulation. So who is giving these people the mandate to ban around trying to kill locusts? Well, you see what I mean? So it is sad and heartbreaking that we are allowing. I blame myself that we are kind of responsible for this to happen. We shouldn't be tolerating this nonsense as Ugandans. This is being taken for a ride, and I think we should stand up and rise up.
All right, so Daniel, I want to bring you in. Yeah. Now, when you look at such a situation happening in the country that one may say it's very healthy, people are very strong, energetic, yeah. They can try to fight against these problems, and then the money that is being approved by the parliament and the government to the cabinet is being wasted on things that cannot actually deliver the services. I was looking at one of the machines that we're using, that it was carrying only 7 liters. Yeah. Now, the question was that machine going to solve the problem, or you're just playing around and stuff like that? What does that tell you?
Well, I think in a serious country, right now, the Minister of Disaster Preparedness will be resigning. If we had a serious country, you cannot tell me that these things, the locusts, were in Kenya, and we knew clearly that they were coming to Uganda.
For a month.
Yeah, for a month. Yes, they say they sent a team there, but what was the team doing? And what did the team come back with? So you cannot tell me that we had all this much time to be prepared and to plan and then to make sure that Uganda is protected, because that's the mandate of the government. to protect Ugandans and their property. So these the locusts come in Uganda, and we are trying to, as my colleague said, to mambo jumbo around with let's carry these jerry cans and spray.
Now the locusts are on trees.
Yeah,
Let's climb the trees.
Yeah, and we've had a number of media houses going up there.
And they are not finding, there are
And
no
they're not
locusts.
finding that. For me, that's a little bit perplexing. You know, I don't want to draw into conclusions, but when you're living in a society where the government itself is a mafia cartel, they can design anything and bring it into the media and into society with diverted agendas. You can't rule anything out. Where are the locusts? We can't find them. We just hear they called us that they are here, and then we came and they are not there. You know, when you live in such a society, you have a lot of questions. You have a lot of questions without answers. And this is what Uganda has come up to. And for me, it's still an agenda of poor regulations and also poor policies. Like, does even Uganda has a disaster prepared policy? Every time we hear Bududa, and then all over the sudden they are running to Bududa. This problem has happened for years and years and years, and we don't have a clear policy on how to regulate the mudslides. Leave alone the locusts. Kampala itself, the floodings in the city. Do we have a clear policy plan that this is what we are going to do to make the flooding end in the capital of a country like Uganda? The way that we praise it, that Uganda is, the way the NRM government praises, Uganda is growing, the economy, blah, blah. But when you're living in a city where every time it rains, you get floods. So for me, it's still a question of regulation and having serious leaders, for sure. If we had leaders who are serious, who are here to serve Ugandans at heart, they would have had a solution way before when this, because these locusts have had a trajectory from Yemen to Somalia to Kenya, and we clearly knew they are coming to Uganda. What was the plan?
That's
No, but if I may add on something for the viewers listening, people listening to us, locusts have not yet got into Uganda. We do not have locusts in Uganda yet. What they are doing right now is that they are trying to figure out how to play around and fool people for the $20 million, for the 20 to 20 billion shillings they've already stolen. Because if you see pictures of how the locusts have been moving in the other countries, they move in a swarm, they are on the ground, they are everywhere. In Uganda, they are on top of the trees only. They are not anywhere else. They are on top of the trees. Journalists have been to those areas, and we don't have locusts in those areas. When you saw when the UPDF went, they are now climbing trees to get them on top of the trees. So the ones that reached Uganda are too smart that they don't move in a swarm. They just go on top of the trees. These guys are looking for ways. You know, they've already stolen the money. If you want, as Ugandans, we should ask for the accountability of the 20 billion, but it is already gone. But locusts have not come to Uganda yet. We've had journalists who have gone on ground in the areas of Moroto. They've questioned the residents of those areas, and they say we haven't seen locusts. But the only problem I have, and I'm praying, let's pray they do not come, because the 20 billion is already gone. We must accept that. Now, if God really gives up on Uganda and real locusts now come to Uganda, we are finished. We do not have the money we don't have the money to overcome this problem, because they've already spent the 20 billion. I was just imagining, when you look at the pictures of locusts and video pictures in Kenya, you saw how locusts were moving. If we were in this studio, they would be all over the place. In Uganda, they are on top of the trees only on top of the trees. So Ugandans must understand there are no locusts in Uganda.
I want to bring in Richard.
The 20 billion was stolen. We can ask for it, but it has been stolen.
All right, I want to bring in Richard. Richard, but before you come in, I want to ask you a question. After the serious criticisms around social media, probably even mainstream media, the government started showing us pictures of kids trying to drive away the locusts. Was that a plan, or the government was under pressure that they started showing us school children going after these locusts? Now, the other question is, these are the same areas where the government was going to spray. We saw some soldiers having no masks. They were spraying but having no masks. And the children were also in the same place. Does that bring the safety of these kids, or is just the government trying to maybe improve the sector in that way?
Let's find a solution, because what is happening in Uganda is going to happen until we wake up. Let me start with the political system. The people of Karamoja, I saw in Monitor this week, the people of Karamoja, the ministers and the MP from Karamoja were complaining on the response of the government, of how they responded on the locusts, because everyone knew for almost a month that the United Nations had given for free of charge $3.3 US free of charge to Uganda, because they gave it to Kenya, Somalia, and Uganda, $10 million US. And then these people, on the last day, the locusts touched the ground in Uganda. The Prime Minister's office, Lugunda himself, chaired a meeting, an emergency meeting of how to deal with the problem that is in Karamoja. Now, I'm going to tell the people of Karamoja, because I see people commenting here so badly on us that we haven't been in Uganda for 10 years and we are analyzing things that we don't know about in Uganda. When the people come to Karamoja, when Honorable Chagwan goes to Karamoja, you ask him that you want self-government, because the people that are going to be affected with famine, with the cattle that are going to die after the bushes are burnt, was the animals that are going to die because of the pesticide are of Karamoja. The political system itself, you tell Honorable Chagwa when he comes, we want self-government, because that's what we are going to fight for, to end these stupid things in Uganda. Let me go to another thing. The coronavirus now is in Egypt. What about if the way they have responded to this disaster, a coronavirus, by mistake, we see in Uganda? If we do not wake up now to stop these nonsenses that are happening in the country, we shall be wiped out.
For your information, the government is already planning on sending 220-something million Ugandan shillings to the people who are in China. So maybe
no, this is stupidity. Unless we wake up, you people, this is no longer a joke. Let me give you an example. I was inquiring on the internet, just on an internet, because last time President Museveni said in Ruwero, Taresita, that they are going to buy aircraft. Just go on Google and go to where they sell controllers.com. You see Elio spraying tractors. The least one that you can get, a used one, well serviced, is $295,000 US. The best one is $600,000 US. Ready. What they would have done, they would have got a minister, fly over here in America, buy as free, maybe free of them, put them, take off the wings, put them in a cargo plane. In a week, they would have been there in Karamoja. We have airfields in Karamoja. They are very good airplanes. And I went to Google itself to see what the pesticide, because I was looking at the pesticide. It's called fentrolation that they are using to spray, that is recommended by the world. And I called the company yesterday. I called it myself to see how, if they have so much of this this pesticide in stock. Even I have the 1-800 number. I called them and they have drums and drums in quantities ready to be supplied in 1 hour. What is the government doing in such a disaster? What is going to happen if famine breaks out in Uganda? So unless we people of Uganda wake up to stop this nonsense, this is no longer a joke that Museveni is coming tomorrow. They're promising empty promises. We are going to die, or we are going to lose the destiny of this country if we don't stop this nonsense. I'm going to give you an example. What happened in Romania? Until the people of Romania had to wake up. It was a pastor that woke up the people in a church and said, look, this is wrong. We have to wake up and save this country. That was the downfall of Ceausescu in Romania. It's time we people, we wake up on our country. We are going to die.
But I want to ask you guys a general question, Sarah, before you come in. When the government tries to put up stuff like this, putting up money aside to help fight these locusts, you guys, again, in the opposition, are fighting against its ideas. So what do you want the government to do different that you think
but this is the question even I would ask. From the look of things on ground, from the locals in Moroto and Karamoja, from the journalists who have touched ground in these areas, the locusts are not yet there. So what is the UPDF spraying? Are they spraying to prevent, as in when the locusts get into those areas, they will smell the pesticide and die? What are they spraying? What are they spraying? That's the question I'm going to ask. Because it is so funny, because if the intention was to spray the locusts when they are already in area to make them die, then why are you spraying? And that's why I've said the funny thing, these locusts that came to Uganda only hide on top of the trees compared to what we've seen in other areas where they come in a swarm and they're everywhere. So the issue is we are not fighting. We are not fighting government. But when you look at the procedure of how they do things, is really so amateurish. You cannot believe a government that has been in power for 34 plus years still behaves the same way the government of President Museveni behaves. It is so funny when they start burning bushes. I've told you most of the people in Moroto still live in grass-thatched houses. Do they have the capacity to control a fire? Do we have a firefighting department in Uganda? Does the army have the capacity to stop a fire if those villages catch fire?
Now,
they don't.
One may suggest that you guys in your position, and of course those who hate the government, you photoshopped something because you wanted to show how bad the government is, that these army officers were burning bushes. So this is not what
we don't work for NBS, we don't work for NTV, we don't work for all these media houses.
The army officers said nothing happened.
No, we don't work. These were not pictures. These were not just photos. These were videos of the army officers starting a fire. In fact, basically, I remember some of the words that were in those videos. One was telling the other, let's start a fire so that we can make them leave the top of the trees and come down. There are pictures when the army officers are climbing up the trees because the nozzles they have cannot spread to the top of the trees. And then we have a section of journalists who have been in these areas saying the locusts have not got into these areas. So what are they spraying? Why are they wasting? For example, let's assume they have the resources. They've been given the pesticides to gun spray. Why are they even wasting it before the pesticides get into the area, before the locusts get into the area? Why are we wasting money? Because if we are not serious, we are going to see them come back to Parliament asking for a supplementary budget, saying the 20 billion were not enough. They need another 20 billion.
All right, so
where is it coming from?
I want to go into some other subject with the consultative meetings that both that are happening in the international community. In the USA, we have already had one happening in one state, and soon we are seeing one happening in Boston. Then what's going to happen in Uganda? We are going to balance that. But let's look at the education system in the country. In most cases, we focus on the political side of it and probably the economic side of it. This time, the parliament asked Gen Kataha Museveni, the first lady of the country, to come and explain to them why they want to approve a curriculum that was nullified by the parliament. I think you guys have all heard about it.
Yeah.
Now, I want to bring in Daniel first before the rest of you guys come in. What does that tell you? When you hear the parliament saying we said this and then the cabinet does something different. Under the policies of the country, we understand the constitution gives both parties powers to do what they have to do. What does it tell you?
Well, this is a question of uncoordinated troops. When you have an engagement, let's say warfare, and one unit of your army and the other, they are not coordinated, you're not going anywhere. You actually end up fighting each other instead of fighting the enemy. But in this case, for the education system in Uganda, I would still say in today's world, in the 21st century, that's why this is one of the reasons why really Museveni has to resign. In the 21st century, countries that have had striving economies, that have made it, it's no longer about minerals or what you have in ground. It's the human capital, the people. What can your people invent? Look at the country like America, Finland, Canada. It's the innovation, China. The human capital that you have in that country is the big deal now. It's no longer about having a big army or being the one in charge of this region and this region. It's the world is becoming an economic powerhouse, and people who are players in that powerhouse are people who can invent things that are solving social problems, like telecommunication. Like this is a big deal today. But when you have an education system like we have in Uganda, really, and you want to be a country that is competing at the global stage in the economy, we are going nowhere. We are still teaching our children funny things in school. Like I studied things in Uganda that not even anywhere close to what I'm doing right now. And this is, to my surprise, these are the same things that young people today are still studying. I saw the curriculum, it was brought up, there were a lot of changes that were done, but the process to bring it was very awkward. That teachers, to adopt this curriculum, had to be trained for 1 week. 1 week. Think about it. 1 week, teachers had to adopt this curriculum and they had to start teaching children. What were they going to teach them? Honestly, 1 week. This is a huge national curriculum. And secondly, this is a curriculum that was passed by the cabinet but not vetted by the parliament. I bring it back to my other issue of uncoordinated troops. And this is a cause of having a country where there is no rule of law, where one section of the country can do whatever they want and they are untouchable and they can implement, they can formulate, they can do everything without regard of other institutions. That's why you're having a collusion between the executive and the parliament on this issue. Because they are uncoordinated, because the other arm thinks, you know, we can come up with this and we can just implement it. No regard to what the people who are going to implement this curriculum are going to go through, and even the children, are they prepared?
All right, so I want to bring in Haman, but before you get in, let me read for you what the Honorary Speaker said. The issues concerning the lower secondary curriculum were not for joking. They were spoken on behalf of the people of Uganda and they must be answered. That's the Speaker of Parliament. She was so furious about what's going on. What does that tell you, Haman?
Education, you know, the education system of the country, not specifically the curriculum, but the education system as a whole, from facilitating the teachers themselves to the structures of the education systems. We've seen people in classrooms sitting on stones, sitting under trees. You know, girls do not go to school while in their periods because those are missed school days. So education, the education sector is battered, right? It is beaten, it is suffocated. And for me, I am very sorry for saying the same things over and over again. My question is priorities. What are the priorities of the education ministry or of the government in education? Is the priority changing the curriculum, or is it facilitating the teachers to be able to teach with a sound mind and not depend on, you know, bribes and parents giving money so that the child goes to the next class? A P7 child who can't write his name. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think that there is need for the overhaul we have called for as people power, and also there is need for the government to be strategic in their priorities for the country in education. Look at, for instance, you see, when something is done for too long, it sort of starts to appear as a culture. It becomes an everyday thing. If you leave your house every day and you don't wash dishes, you leave the dishes in the sink, right? Every day. I mean, it looks okay to do that, right? You just dress up and leave. You're very smart, but you have dirty dishes, right, in the sink. So we have had this go on for 30 years. We have had things like corruption go on for 30 years. In Uganda, when you get a job, I'm talking about now education on a bigger scale, not specific to UCE, but education on a bigger scale. When you get a job in Uganda, for instance, police, civil servants, whoever you are, you can stay on a job for 22 years without retraining. You can stay on a job for 34 years. Now I'm talking about the president. You can do the same job for 34 years without questioning. Do you understand? Here you have to retrain. If you don't retrain, you lose your job. Do you understand my element that I'm trying to bring up? So we can't have the same curriculum for 30 something years or whatever years, and we think that it is functional.
So
But
when,
also we have
that's,
to-
that's the question. The question is, the minister and his people come up with something new, and now the parliament is standing against it. No, so you are the enemies, and especially you guys in the opposition are the enemies of progress according to what the government programs are.
I don't think that is the case. I think we are saying that first of all, prioritize. But secondly, if you want to change truly. Do you understand? Change truly. You can't say, like my brother has said, you can't say that people who are going to implement this need 1 week and here, take it on. Do you understand? So how they are doing it is important, but what they are doing, I think, in my view, in my personal view, is not a priority for the country.
All right, before I bring in Richard, let me first go to Sarah. Sarah, First Lady is really doing a very amazing job. You guys have been here over the years complaining that Uganda has the very worst education curriculum ever. And now the minister and his people she works with are coming up with something new to improve the education sector, probably create more employment opportunities in the future, which, you know, when you have better people, better employment opportunities, better investments. Now, the opposition and the parliament, let me read for you what the speaker said. I've just read one for Haman, but let me say this. The speaker said, the Minister of Education must come here and answer those questions to the country. Now, some of the debates, the discussion they had. Now, first of all, the speaker was so furious about what was going on. Was it necessary for the speaker to go against what the cabinet is doing?
First of all, the biggest blunder they've ever done is to choose a school dropout as a minister for education. There are sectors, there are ministries that should never be given to people who know nothing of what happens in such sectors. You cannot choose a senior to drop out like Kataha and make her the minister in charge of education or any ministry that needs someone who is a professional. Kataha is not fit. Kataha started in Makerere University by proxy. If you ask anyone who graduated the time she was in Makerere, she never attended the end of the classes. She graduated because she's the wife to the president.
But so she's the mother of
it does not matter how far did her children go. What I know one of my cousins started with her daughters in Namagunga, and they used to come last in class. So she's the wrong person for the ministry, because if you look at her, I'm just even looking at her from how she has been manning or handling the different things that have been happening in the education sector. Look at how she handled the issue with Makerere University students. The students had a viable, their issue should have been listened to, because you cannot milk a cow you've not fed. The parents, you're giving an increment of 15%, their incomes have not increased. And these students, basically, as the students riot, they're rioting on behalf of their parents, because we would have expected the parents to come out and riot. So, but the students know exactly where these monies are coming from. And exactly, if you're increasing the 15% for the students of Makerere, have you improved services for them? No, you haven't. And you saw the arrogant statement she came up saying. So she's completely the wrong person for the ministry. There are so many people who can run that ministry.
So is that the reason why the curriculum shouldn't be supported? Because you're saying that
what are you changing?
It's not supposed to be in there.
If you're changing the curriculum and it does not fit with what is happening in the world right now, it still does not make sense.
Yeah,
it should be changed to fit into the, if you look at other countries and how people study according to the current trends of what is happening. Right now you have a country like Uganda, which has over 45 million people, but you have a population that is not productive. They cannot help you much. You see what some of the countries, America, as much as it has so many people, America has suffered at some point in time where you see big companies in America have left America to go and do production in China. Why? Because China, what did China do? China, as much as they have manpower, they have the people, but they are trained. the people know what to do, of which America needs to copy very soon, or they are trying to do right now, to train their people at home, so that you have the companies or the factories come back to America, of which you've seen some of them come back. So Uganda right now, as much as we want investment to come in, we want investors to come in, even when investors come in, you do not have the trained manpower to handle whatever investment they're going to bring in, because what you have in, you producing university graduates who are half-baked.
I think what Sarah is saying, especially about the minister, is that you can't have someone who doesn't know what it is like to tell you what it is like, right? You can't have the minister
she has not taken
who has
time.
not taught, whose children has never gone.
It is not even that. She has not taken time to educate herself to understand the different trends of education right now. Because I believe if the parliament has refused to approve or told her, we don't want you to pass that curriculum, we know definitely parliament has some people who have some heads, their heads are still intact and they are smart. They've looked through the curriculum and it is not taking Uganda anywhere.
But let's look at the advantages of this new curriculum. One, you know, during my time of school, we used to spend almost 8 to 10 hours in class. Now the new curriculum asks for only 5 hours. You go in 8:30 a.m., you leave the class at 2 or something. And that's
but what are they studying?
It gives
the content. The issue has never been the time. I remember when we were in school, we used to go in at 8 and come out at 5. But if you look at, there is a generation, the kids you have today, coming out of school, you have more of students coming out of school, people cannot even read and write coming out of the UPE, and you have people coming out universities whereby the most they have done is crammed. When you hire anyone, some of these courses you hire anyone in the job market, you have to retrain them from zero. So it's not the time. The times of when you have your classes, I know kids here get in class by 8, some come out by 1, some come out by 3, but the content, the minister should not focus on the time. What is the content?
Okay, I just gave you an example because they are looking at the skills. Now let me bring in Richard. You see, this new development is kind of improving the education sector of the country. Kids will have the opportunity to relax their minds and go and learn skills more than just a theory. So isn't that a good thing that I believe, or many people would say, that opposition should support?
It's because the pressure they are having on people power. First of all, let's analyze this. The parliament, the Speaker of Parliament doesn't have the authority in real understand of coming against a president. We have 2 presidents in Uganda, if you don't know, which you call twin dictators. Museveni and his wife, they're all ruling the country. People who don't know about it, it's obvious. The Speaker of Parliament doesn't have the moral capacity and the authority to call her in and stop her program. So the second thing, let's talk about this.
But she has the constitutional powers to bring her in.
This constitutional powers in Uganda is people power that is going to put it right. Right now, the free arms of government are not functioning. Whatever Museveni wants is what is being done in the country. These things of the parliament has done such and such. It's only on these things like a Muwogo and Kasoli and spraying locusts by soldiers. But the other things, it comes from State House. So let's talk about what is the 2 differences between the 2 curricula, because I've been studying so much about this. First of all, the restructuring of the education system was due because this is a problem why the country is backward. And in the curricula here, there are 2 things that I don't want. There is Swahili as a national language because Marxism destroys society and build a new society like they did in Kenya and they did in Tanzania. We Ugandans don't want this. We as the people. The second thing that is I don't want is the political education of the NRM as the Bush war, all this. They are going to teach it compulsorily in the new curricula. The third thing,
and previously they had cancelled political education in schools, and now the government is bringing it back.
Because it wants to sensitize the population into Marxism and socialism.
You and your fellow comrades were fighting against this because you were complaining that the government took out political education. Now it's
no. We don't need this to move forward. And let's see the difference. No, let me first finish. Let's see the difference what people power is going to do. In the new constitution, which we propose the people of Uganda to take over when Honorable Chagwenyi is doing consultation, this is what they should ask him. For example, how does the American system work? There should be totally no ministry of education in Uganda. education should be the state governments of Uganda, all the state governments of Uganda.
You're talking about districts?
No, states. Buganda, Bunyoro, Busoga. That's the proposal to end the conflict of Uganda. There should be only the secretary in the presidential cabinet working with the education system in the country. It should, the people of the states should be in charge of the education system, not Mrs. Museveni coming from what, that tower, the long tower, that way, the crested towers, and then all over Karamoja she's the minister, all over Kiso she's the minister, all over Bundibujo she's the minister. No, they burden because they want to show that they are leaders in the country. No, we want to propose that the people of the country, the districts, the states, take over the responsibility of making sure that they build the schools, modern schools, take care of them, make sure that they are run properly. The third thing, the exchange program. Still, People Power has the best exchange program. We are proposing an exchange program where Mr. Museveni says they are going to have an exchange program from the people that have been trained in Uganda to be brought overseas. Where it's only Honorable Chagwan that has friendship with America that is going to have the best exchange program where people are going to come in here and get educated and get the skills and go and transform the country.
But let me ask you this. The government is doing a great job by involving other languages. Now, Chinese is also part of the languages that students are going to be having.
Yes, the leftist side. It's with the people of Uganda that have decided which political wing do we have to go in. We have to go to the left of communism, or we want to go to the west. How many people go and ask asylum in China? How many people go and ask asylum in Russia? How many people go and ask asylum in Cuba? How many people go in America? How many people go in Britain? How many people go to Canada? We Ugandans have to decide which political system we want to work with, the left or the right. And I would prefer the Western democracies in Uganda.
All right.
I was looking after a gentleman. You know, when you're working these jobs, and you can. They were telling him, we are giving you medicine. This is an old guy who likes medicine, right? He thinks he's being healthy. So they are giving him. They are saying we are giving him medicine, but they are giving him morphine to try and what? And end his life sooner. That is what is happening. That they are saying education reforms. Now when you hear the word, you know, you as elites, you start getting excited. Oh, these are the things we've been looking for.
Because that's improving the economic sector of the country.
No, that is, I'm saying they are giving you morphine, thinking that what? You're getting treated, but they are actually killing you slowly. Now when you propose that there is a return of, why did you take political education away in the first place, and now you're returning it with fresh memories of NRM as being the what? The savior of the country. Sarah mentioned something major. It is not, and notice this, we have said the same thing. It is not the heading, education reforms. It is the content, first of all. And secondly, how it is being implemented, how it is being prioritized, that timing. Do you understand, David? So education reforms are good. If they are saying we are going to bring technical schools, people are going to learn skills of the hand, we shall not charge OTT, people are going to be able to use internet to search and educate themselves on how to do things without necessarily going to class, because we can't afford to pay teachers. Substitute the resources and make it happen basically organically. Do not do something you can't manage. You can't say we employ 10 million teachers in Uganda, right? I'm just giving out a number out there. Oh, we have given, there are 10 million jobs for teachers, but the teachers are getting 200,000 every what? Every month. So it is not, again, it is not the heading that should excite us. It is the content that we should be begging for. How is it going to be implemented? Right. Why are they rushing to do it in a week? Those are the questions that I was hoping to hear. But we are not bad people saying that we are trying to stop them from doing education reforms. They are
Yeah.
important.
If I may add on something, I don't know if they still do it now, but I think one of the things the minister should be trying to implement, of which used to work. I remember from primary school we used to do like science experiments. You knew whether you were interested in sciences or not. I remember we used to cut frogs. We used to do those science experiments way back from primary 4. I don't know if schools still have labs. Primary schools, I don't know how many primary schools in Uganda have labs where such practicals are taken, are done by, those are the practical things you need to introduce back into the curriculum, because I know they've died off, so that a child is motivated from such a way young age to know, okay, I want to get into the, the science sector, but and then they start on training way from childhood. There are so many things. I remember we used to have. We used to go to agriculture. They used to take us to gardens and study plants, not only in class.
Mulching.
Yes, we need a mulching. You were practically doing it.
Yeah.
In our plants, we used to fill the plants. Every plant we used to read about in class, you knew how it looks like in real life.
But
those are the things she needs to introduce back, even from way back from primary schools. Because now what I believe what you have mostly, especially with the introduction of UPE, you have students who go to class, but they don't even know what they're studying about. Yet it's the normal stuff they see every day. So there are things that while working then, she needs to introduce back. And exactly, as a minister, she needs to sit down with the entire committee and look at the trends of where the education sector is worldwide.
All right.
Because you're not only producing these graduates for Uganda, you're producing people who are going to compete with everyone else in the world. Because if you're going to bring in investors are not going to take your half-baked graduates. That's why you have a problem of investors. Why does China start up a factory in Uganda? 90% of the people work there are Chinese. Yet you have Ugandans with degrees, and you graduate over 40,000 Ugandans every year. That means the cost of training your half-baked graduates is much more than them just going to China, buying an air ticket and bringing someone who is going to start working there and then.
All right, so now I want to look at, as we're concluding the show, I want to look at the consultative meetings that are going on or that are already started in the diaspora community. And I will start with these guys who have red tops. First of all, you are illegally doing that because the government of Uganda stopped you from putting on these red tops. But let's look into this. The government last time... last time the government was actually stopped all your consultation meetings that had took place, and we saw some of your members being arrested, and a lot happened. What's new that is going to happen this time? And first of all, do you think the government is going to let people in Uganda to do these meetings?
Well, it is not the government that is supposed to let us do this. It is the law that governs Uganda. The government is the NRM government. But the law, the constitution of Uganda that allows us to do these consultations is the law that governs the entire Uganda, including the government.
But it's a constitution still that gives the government powers under the public management order bill for you guys to follow, and if you don't, it has the powers to stop.
It is not. You have things twisted, my friend.
Yeah.
It is not the government. The government is also guided by the law.
Yeah.
It is not the government that makes laws. That is why a police officer can find you in your house and say furuma.
You're not
You're
allowed
thinking
to
that the law is coming from what? Because he's putting on uniform.
Yes.
We have the biggest challenge we have, even that we fight as people power, is the big man syndrome. Because he's a pastor and is putting on robes, it doesn't mean that everything he's saying is right. It doesn't mean that if he tells you, buy rice for 1 million shillings, it is okay. Do not have that big man syndrome. It is a disease that we are trying to cure. We are not giving morphine. We are giving the right medicine.
Yep.
So, go on.
Yeah, but the issue is, we really followed the laws, and when we were planning our consultation meetings in Uganda, we followed the laws. We even reached out to the police in every area where we wanted to plan this, and we even did the most stupid things they asked us to do. But still, they didn't allow us to do our meetings, and they violently disrupted our meetings. But this is something that Ugandans should really worry about. If something simple like that, just to ask people, what do you want us as the people power movement to put in our manifesto? If something like that is a threat to the government in power, that should worry Ugandans, because when you are you're not allowed to be challenged. You're not allowed people to challenge you, and yet you say you're in a democracy. Then there is some sort of confusion.
All right,
Someone
Sarah,
is confused here.
I want to bring in Sarah, and then you
You
guys
know,
are
I always say, and I'm going to say the same thing again, it is entirely going to take Ugandans, the 40+ million Ugandans, to cause the change they want. All the games you see running around, stopping the consultations, we expected them to happen. Museveni cannot allow you to consult. Museveni is scared. Look at him. He's looking so weary. The man is tired. The man is completely tired. But I know he has a team behind him who are telling him, even if you're dead, we'll put your corpse, a dead corpse, we'll freeze it and make it sit on the, we'll make it still be president. The man is weary and tired. But it is going to take the pressure from Ugandans. Whenever Museveni, because all these things are stopped by Museveni himself, whenever he puts a brake onto something, we need to press harder. And this does not mean Chagulanyi. This takes all Ugandans. We need to demand for the things we need. If they tell us we are going to have a consultation in this particular area and you belong to that area, come out in big numbers. Come out in big numbers. Because it's not going to turn, and I don't want people to look at this, I don't want to look at it and say, oh, this is for Chagulanyi. No. I keep repeating it, Chagulanyi live the comfortable life. It is us, it is so many Ugandans who are suffering, who do not have service delivery, who are suffering from the rampant corruption, that they cannot receive the things they need to receive, that need to wake up and demand for the things they need. Museveni, we need to mount the pressure. We've mounted the pressure in so many areas. We've seen him make mistakes. You've seen how some of these people are arrogantly spreading around money and holding it as if they were the first to belong to NRM. And please give us a chance to speak about that later. So Ugandans must know it is entirely going to take Ugandans. Even if in the end it requires an uprising, it is going to be Ugandans. I'll tell you, they're not going to kill 45 million Ugandans.
Right.
The most they can do before an intervention comes in, they will try to kill 10,000, 20,000. Right. When the dead bodies are spread in Kampala, something will happen. Rachel. But it is going to take Ugandans. Museveni is not going to go just easily like that.
Rachel,
it is going to take Ugandans to force him out.
I want to bring in. What's your thing?
So the consultation is this. We have always been talking about the consultation. We, the people of Uganda, want a Uganda that we dream of, especially we people who have been outside the country, have seen different areas, how they function. First of all, we want people power to produce a white paper that is going to use in the campaign to show the people of Uganda that you people, this is the new country that we propose, Honorable Chagulanyi proposed for you. First of all, it has to take consultation. Then the consultation will write a white paper. The white paper will be used in the campaign. And then after Honorable Chagulanyi take over government by force or by election, because the change is imminent in Uganda, then there's going to be a referendum for all the people of Uganda to choose in a national referendum. After the referendum, there's going to be a constitution assembly, a new constitution assembly that, like the one that happened. Then after the new constitution, the constitution assembly, the people of Uganda are going to write themselves a new country that they want. And then there's going to be transformation. What Museveni is fearing for the consultation is that the consultation Honorable Chagulanyi is proposing is going to overthrow his political and economic system. He always wanted Honorable Chagulanyi to come on board and go on with his stupid legacy, the way he has led the country to the downfall. Okay? Then I want you to prove me on this. Eddie Tumine, what did he say? He said, we want Honorable Chagulanyi to come on board. Then we can show him this and this. Come and eat. That's why I like Honorable Chagwet. Come and eat with us and live what we have done the way it has forever and ever. What Honorable Chagwet said, no, you people, you propose to me the country you want. The new country you want, so that Uganda can be a good country for all of us.
All right.
Baganda, Batoro, Banyoro, Bachiga, everyone as equal partners in development, in the economic system, in the army, in police, in security, so that we can all enjoy the country.
All right, sure. Thank you, Richard. Hamani, I wanted to close with that. What should people expect to have been informed just right now that there is a consultative meeting going to take place next weekend or on Saturday? What should people expect in that meeting? And are they Ugandans supposed to come, or are they going to watch it online? What's going to happen during that day?
On that day, thank you for that opportunity. I really appreciate it, but more so I think the country appreciates it. Anything that people are doing in their communities is vital. It reminds more people that there is a need for change. It reminds more people that they can do it themselves if they choose to. And I really appreciate that. So on the it's going to be, we have a consultation meeting on the 22nd of February 2020. It's going to be at the Thomas R. Plimpton Elementary School. You know, the team found the place, and we are going to organize. We'll have a few guests. Coordinators will be here. Coordinators from DC and some from Seattle. And even we might have some guests from Uganda on that day. So, yeah, it's not our function. It is not our function. It is a Ugandan's function. It is the people who are touched about the country's function. It is an opportunity for them to come and let us know what things they think are, one, priority, two, well regulated, things that work for the country, leave alone proposing education reforms that are actually NRM reforms. Just ideas, be it education or be it on policy, be it on information, be it on health. We'll collect that information and take it back to our central team in Uganda and draw up a good document that will be used in the upcoming consultations. Right. And this is not only in the Boston area. California is organizing the same. So if you're watching from California, please be part of that event. Uganda is doing the same on the 24th. They'll start in Deva, I think, or at Popo. So if you're in Uganda, please go and participate. These are not our problems, I'm telling you. These are Uganda's problem. You asked about the possibility of being stopped.
Over here, exactly.
So, David, let me remind you, it is not Haman, because I am talking about this, that is on trial. The first person that is on trial is you, the Ugandan. How do you feel about your country? Right? Are you willing to take 4 hours to come and be present? Are you willing to go online and share and suggest your view? Right? That is the first person. But
right,
the biggest
I'm
person,
running out of time.
the biggest person on trial, if you allow me, is the government of Uganda. Because the Electoral Commission and the police initially came out and said we did something wrong and we want to rectify that. Please give us an opportunity to prove to Ugandans that we are serving them, right?
Okay,
so
sure.
we are giving them an opportunity to either prove that they are people of their word or disprove, and for us our job is to keep exposing them.
All right, so guys,
and I want to add on something, a very little, for people who may want to understand it even more. If you live in the diaspora, is just like consultations are happening in Uganda, of which they've not had a chance to consult because they've been stopped by police. We believe people who live in the diaspora, you engage with your family members in Uganda on a daily basis. So definitely in your engagements, these are people who live in communities, you know their problems, their wants. So as you discuss with them, you know partly what your family members or people in the communities need or require. Okay. So as much as there is a problem, these consultation being stopped in Uganda, here we are having a chance for you to be the voice of the Ugandans back home and say, this is A, B, C, and D is what the people back home would need, or this is what they will need in a new Uganda, in a better Uganda, so that we can pick up those views. You're not only saying that because you live in the diaspora, you're also representing those back home because you communicate with them on a daily basis. You know the problems at hand. So that's why we are asking people in the diaspora. And we also need ideas, because living in the diaspora, the people who have really good ideas of how they would want things to run, or how they would want a better Uganda, or some sectors of the economy, or in some departments of the country where they feel if A, B, C, and D would have been done like this, that's a good idea, it works.
All right,
so
sorry,
I'm
going to let you guys go.
Before you let us go, just give me a minute, just give me not even less than a minute to address. I want to just address something little.
Breakups.
I just want, let me address something little. Maybe we'll give everyone a minute for everyone to address. Yesterday, I think we woke up to a video by Catherine Kusasira where she was bragging about supporting NRM and having all this money coming from NRM. My sister Catherine Kusasira, you're in trouble. I believe this woman, if she's not serious, herself or any member of her family is going to be killed very soon. First of all, you are testing people who have been in NRM for a long time who have not benefited anything. There are so many people in NRM that are so bitter. They've served genuinely. They've put their, some people who have served even from the war times, who have been there since 86 up to now, and they've not even benefited anything. But as we are busy fighting for locusts, as we are busy fighting to get cancer machines in hospitals, as we are busy fighting for so many things, as we have failed to even put proper screening of coronavirus in Entebbe Airport, because as we go through Entebbe Airport, there is no screening. Catherine Kusasira is busy parading money that she got from NRM. Catherine Kusasira, the problem you're going to face is going to be huge. And for Ugandans out there, watch out for people like Catherine Kusasira. And I do not know how Museveni is packaging himself with these goons he picked up as, because they have too much urban excitement. Because with the way, let me finish up. Just give me a second to finish up. With the way Uganda is right now, you're having an economy of extremely poor people who are suffering, people who cannot get medical services, and a few goons like Catherine Kusasira parading money. Is Museveni willing to give money to all Ugandans who are suffering, or it is a few like Catherine Kusasira?
I'm not going to add anything. I want to thank you.
I think that is a good topic.
Yeah, it's a very great topic, but because I'm running out of time, we've not had.
They want you elites to pay 15% more in university and give it to Catherine Kusasira.
All right, guys. I want to thank you so much. You know, the problem is, last Friday I did not celebrate Valentine's, so my time is also running out, so maybe somebody's waiting for me to go and celebrate with. So
that is not Valentine's.
I want to give my closing take. Now, you've heard what these guys have discussed today. It's not different from what many other Ugandans are talking about. Of course, the economy, some are saying the economy is improving and others not. But here's a reality. When Sarah was talking about the lady, Catherine Kusasira, who is a musician and of course a strong supporter of NRM, displaying money, showing how other people should wait for the new government to also get the same, it was kind of a mockery that should never happen again in the history of our country. Because that means that many people's lives are going to be put at stake, inclusive of her family or even friends. Because there are many Ugandans like you who are poor, who do not have money right now. And when you watch that video, you were asking yourself, where do these people get this money from? We are looking for it. We can't say it. To me, what she did was just total BS. It is disrespecting Ugandans. It is disrespecting the government. Is disrespecting the money of the country. We used to see this within these socialites. And now, the so-called presidential advisors are also doing the same. Now, they have a right to do that. That's what the NRM government, according to what they say, fought for. People to have peace and the freedom to do what they have to do. I'm getting out. Have a great week. Now, coming up next, you must have watched, or if you missed last Saturday's Love, Sex and Money show, today is another great show coming up. Denise is already in her studio waiting. And of course, I've eaten a little bit of a time of preparation for the next show. But don't forget, coming up next, Love, Sex and Money. Paul Jingo is going to be there. Isaac's going to be there. And many other guys. So if you missed last time, this time, don't take a chance. Have a great week. See you next Saturday.